A metal roof is a great investment to not only enhance the curb appeal of your home, but it also protects you from the elements. Proper installation is crucial. In this video, we're going to show you the basics of installing 7/8" corrugated. This is the Metal Roofing Learning Channel. Brought to you by Western States Metal Roofing. In this video, we will cover required tools and supplies, squaring your roof, proper foam closures and butyl tape installation, burst sheet placement, overlapping panels, and we will cover splicing panels, eave to ridge. This video is brought to you by Western States Metal Roofing, where you can buy factory direct and save 15 to 50% on your materials. Visit westernstatesmetalroofing.com to find the right material for your project. For this installation, you will need carpenter's pencil, chalk reel, we recommend blue chalk, roofing gloves, screw gun or adjustable drill driver, double-sided butyl tape, foam closures, screws, metal or wood depending on your install. For the purpose of this video, red screws were used for demonstration purposes only. Prior to installing corrugated metal roofing panels, the following should be completed. Roof should be properly dried in with underlayment. Eave flashing should be installed. You can find these videos and more on our playlist, Corrugated Metal Roofing Installation Videos. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. How to square your roof. Not all roofs are squared. An important first step before installing your panels is to chalk out a squared reference line on your roof. This will serve as a guideline to ensure your panels are going on straight. Often, during installation, panels begin to fan out or in. This can happen if panels are over-tightened or simply from the weight of the installer walking on the panel. Having a true squared line to reference during installation will ensure panels are always going on straight. To create your roofing squared line, we will use a true 3-4-5 right triangle method. This is a simple method that uses a few easy measurements to create a true right triangle. Start by measuring and marking 3 feet from the opposite edge of where you will begin your panel installation. At the 3-foot mark, measure 4 feet up towards the ridge of your roof. Next, from the corner of your roof, measure diagonally 5 feet and mark where the 5-foot mark intersects with your 4-foot mark. You will then snap a string line from your 3-foot mark to your intersecting mark. This line will be your squared reference line when installing your panels. This method works well for smaller sections. Larger sections should use a larger right triangle, such as a 6-8-10 or any multiplier of the 3-4-5 triangle. When you are installing the roofing panels, you want to keep the eave or low side of the roof flush. We recommend a 2-inch gap between the metal roofing sheets at the peak of the roof to allow for adjustment at the lower end. Foam closures and butyl sealant tape placement. Foam closures are an essential step in corrugated roofing installation. Start by measuring 1 inch from the edge of your eave panel. Next, run a strip of double-sided butyl tape along the 1-inch guide. Using a roofing panel as a guide, align the roofing panel by making sure the top and bottom are equal distance to the squared line. Once the panel is in place, you'll know where the foam closures will begin. Place your foam closure by removing the top protective strip of butyl sealant tape and aligning the foam closure to the panel's corrugation. Start the foam closure at 1 full corrugation of foam. You will need to cut off excess foam. It's important to remove the protective strip from only the area you're going to work on. You do not want your sealant tape to be contaminated with dust and debris. This should be done in small runs, as windy conditions may blow off closures prior to panel installation. First panel placement. For this installation, we will be installing the panels with a 2-inch overhang. Using a carpenter's pencil, place a small mark 3 inches from the edge on every third corrugation. Align the panel with the foam closures and measure the overhang 2 inches from the eave trim. Measure the distance of the top and bottom of the panel from the squared line. Once the panel is aligned, install the first and third screw on the lower side of the panel. Additional screws will be placed on the first low seam at the edge of the panel. These screws will be covered and protected once the gable trim is installed. This process will be done on both sides of the gable or rake. They will ensure that the roofing panel stays secure if the gable trim is ever to come undone. For this particular install, we will place screw lines at 24-inch spacing. Screws should not be placed within 6 inches from peak side of roof to allow for ridge cap installation. Once you have 2 screws on each screw line, plus the gable side screws, prior to installing any additional sheets, always go back to your squared line and double check that the panel has not shifted during fastening. Run a strip of double-sided butyl tape along the second corrugation of where the panel will overlap. Place the next panel by overlapping the first panel by 2 corrugations. Check that the foam closures line up with the panel. Slight adjustments of the foam closure may be needed. Ensure that the panel overlaps the eave trim by 2 inches and that the top and bottom of the panel are equal distance from your squared reference line. Begin securing additional panels with a minimum of 2 screws per screw line. Lay a strip of butyl sealant tape and repeat the process until your roof is complete. Once your panels are squared and secured, you're ready to snap a chalk line and install all additional screws. For a detailed video on proper screw fastening, check out this video on our channel. Be sure to subscribe as new videos are added weekly. Some roofs will require multiple corrugated panels from the eave to the ridge of the roof. When this happens, the panels will need to be overlapped or spliced together. This is done by layering the panels starting from the lower section of your roof to the top. You want the splices to overlap so that the flow of water is not obstructed. We recommend panels to be spliced at a minimum of 6 inches. A strip of double-sided butyl tape should be placed along the middle of your splice. A screw line must fall along the strip of the butyl sealant tape. Therefore, you may need to adjust the spacing between your screw lines to ensure this happens. When measuring your panels, you will need to compensate for the overhang at eave, 6-inch splices, and the 2-inch gap needed at the ridge. In this example, we will be covering a 60-foot roof run. In order to complete this run, our first panel will need to be 20 feet, 8 inches long. The 8 inches will be lost by a 2-inch overhang and a 6-inch splice with the next panel. Our second panel will be 21 feet long. The 12 inches will be lost by the 6-inch splice with the lower panel and the 6-inch splice with the top panel. The final panel will be 20 feet, 4 inches long. 6 inches will be lost by splicing it with the lower panel. This leaves you with 19 feet, 10 inches, resulting in a 2-inch gap at the ridge. The 2-inch gap at the ridge will allow for any adjustment that may be needed to ensure that the eave side of the roof is flush. When installing over purlins or beams, we do not recommend mid-span splice. All splice joints should be over a purlin or beam. You should consult a professional engineer for purlin spacing. It is important that after your roof is installed, you immediately clean off all metal burr and shavings. Burr and shaving can rust overnight, so if your installation will take multiple days, you need to clean your roof after each day. Hit hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content.